Hey YouTube, this is Ozarks brother Jerry, and this week's Torah portion is Nitzvaim, and that means the one standing. Hey, I changed my studio because of the sun setting. So how do you like this? This fancy chair I got from dumpster diving when they were renovating a doctor's office. So I'm all about change. Okay, so this week's Torah portion is Nitzvaim. I said that. It's Deuteronomy 29:10 through 30:20. So just two chapters, 29 and then 30. And the overview is Yahweh has brought Israel physically into Canaan. Yahweh has the nation take an oath to enter into a covenant with him. Then he tells them in the next chapter that they're going to fall back into idolatry, but they can still come back to him if they remember his commandments. So I haven't thought a lot about it, but offhand I'd say this may be my favorite parsha, because Yahweh always, he plans for everyone, even the stranger and even the future after we've messed up. So let me go ahead and read. So I want to focus on just the first part of both chapters. So to that end, I'll read Deuteronomy 29:10 through 15. Ye stand this day, and that's where the one standing Nitzvaim comes from. Ye stand this day, all of you, before Yahweh your Elohim, your captains of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, with all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and thy stranger that is in thy camp. That's us, that's me. You know, a mixed multitude came out of Egypt with the Hebrews. So, and Moshe says in Exodus 12:49, there's one law for the natural born and for the stranger. So that's me. So anyhow, I'll start over in 11. Your little ones, your wives, and thy stranger that is in thy camp, from the hoor of thy wood unto the drawer of thy water. Thou shalt enter into the covenant with Yahweh thy Elohim, and into his oath which Yahweh thy Elohim maketh with thee this day, that he may establish thee today for a people unto himself, that he may be unto thee an Elohim, as he hath said unto thee, as he hath sworn unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and Jacob. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that standeth here with us this day before Yahweh our Elohim, and also with him that is not here with us this day. That blows me away. I mean, that's us. We weren't there. But he planned it was his intention to be in his covenant. Hallelujah. So what does it mean to be in a covenant with Elohim? Well, a covenant is an alliance, it's a friendship, and it's a divine ordinance with signs or pledges. And if you notice in that verse 13, he says that he may establish thee today for a people unto himself, that he may be unto thee an Elohim, as he hath said unto thee, as he hath sworn unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. So what was promised to Abraham? Well, let's look. And that's in Genesis 17:7-10. And that reads, And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be an Elohim unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee, and to thy seed after thee, the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession. I will be their Elohim. And Elohim said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. So Yahweh is saying that he'll be our Elohim. What does that mean? Well, Elohim, El means God. Elohim is the plural of that. And what that really means, as I understand it, is Elohim is the source of all powers, every power there is in this universe. I mean, the only power Satan has is the power that Yahweh gives him. So here's the entity that created the universe with all the power, and he's going to watch over us. He's going to be our El, our Elohim. That's great. So in the promise to Abraham, the covenant goes to your seed. I mean, what more can you do for your kids? I mean, they got to obey the commandments also, but I mean, you're bringing your family into this. It's a wonderful promise. And so he's going to give us this land in Canaan. Okay, so Ron Hood, and you know who is Ron Hood to estimate population densities? I don't know, but he thinks that the land promised to Israel could easily hold 2 billion people. And by that time, most, I don't know what the numbers are, will be regenerated bodies. Will we even eat anymore? I don't know. I mean, Yeshua, when he came back after being crucified, he ate some fish and then walked through a wall. So will we be eating? I don't know. And have the other needs that humans have. And our end of this deal is we are to keep the covenant, those 613 mitzvahs or commandments. But it's not really 613, because some of those are for priests, some are for men, some are for women, some are for kids. So not everyone is held to all 613 mitzvahs. So the courtroom of heaven, I don't know how that's going to work out, but it's going to be busy. But we have to keep our end of the deal. Some people liken this to a contract. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like a contract to me. And I used to work in contracting to some degree with the government. But anywho, that's the first part of it, and that's the Israel becoming a nation with Elohim, and then the promise is made to us too. So now, and even in Yahweh's wonderful mercy and love, he knows we're going to screw up. Okay? But then again, he makes a way for us to get back to him. So let's go over to the next chapter, Deuteronomy 30, 1 through 3, and let's read that. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whether Yahweh thy Elohim hath driven thee. And shalt return unto Yahweh thy Elohim, and shalt obey his voice, according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thy soul. That then Yahweh thy Elohim will turn thy captivity, and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whither Yahweh thy Elohim hath scattered thee. So many, the great majority, I don't know. I think this return has already happened, because they'll go and find, we found these Jews in Ethiopia, so they let them in, and they're citizens of Israel. But this return hasn't happened yet. So that's how we know it's in the future. Let's go into that return a little bit. Right now, there's almost 9 million people in Israel. 75% of these are Jews. Now, when I say they're Jews, that's ethnic, religion, and culture. It's not just they're the ones who believe the commandments. It's just the ethnic, religion, and culture. Of the 75%, 46% define themselves as secular. Now, if you look up the word secular in different dictionaries, you just can't get a definition. I couldn't get a definition that I could bite my teeth into, but I did run across that. You look at secular in contrast to sacred, so they're opposites. And sacred is what Yahweh wants us to be. He wants us to be set apart. So 46% of the 75% of the Jews, they didn't realize and start keeping the covenants, and that's why they're back, as delineated in Deuteronomy 30. Another 8% of the 75% are anti-religious. Okay. So now that was 75% of Jews, so that leaves 25%. What are the 25%? 18% are Islamic, 2% are Christian, 1% are Druzism, Druzism. I kind of looked it up, but I didn't spend a lot of time on it. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. And the rest are other, so it's minute. So not many people keeping the commandments there. I dare say none. So if you do the math, 3.1 million or 1/3, claim to be keeping the commandments of Yahweh that are in Israel now. On top of that, how many believe in Messiah? I mean, after all, Abraham believed, and he got righteousness for believing. He didn't get righteousness for keeping the Father's commandments. Although he did that, it quite clearly says he did that, but he got it for believing that the Messiah, that Yahweh was gonna make a way, send a Messiah, and make a way for people to get into the kingdom of heaven. So on top of that, the largest gay parade is held in Tel Aviv annually, largest in the world. So those people aren't, that's not a nation that's keeping the Father's commandments. On top of that, the Jews are certainly originally were the Yehudim and a smattering of Benjamites. So where are the other 10.5 tribes at? So there's a lot of people that need to come back. Now the return is talked about, I believe, in one place, is in Jeremiah 16, 14, and 15. Chapter 16, verses 14 and 15. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, Yahweh liveth that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But Yahweh liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands where he had driven them. And I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. So it says here in the beginning that Yahweh doesn't even live that brought those up. This next return is going to be so much bigger, it's going to dwarf, the return that Moses led. So that's coming. And the Messiah also refers to it in Matthew 24:31. And he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. And how that's going to work in the time frame, I'm always thinking about that. I don't have that nailed down in my mind, but man, that's just wonderful that Yahweh knew we were coming. We weren't there yet, and he left a blank for us to write our name in there. And I would hope and encourage all of you out there to put your name in there and to believe on the Messiah and keep his commandments. So in conclusion, we looked at when Israel first became the nation of Elohim in Canaan, and then we looked at how someday they and we will return. So thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.